All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Horimiya, episode 5. And
Okay.
we have had a love confession. A
second one.
A second one.
Yes,
You know,
but different.
different. Still not completely and utterly a 100% foolproof.
Nope.
Because Hori is grasping at the straws of, could it be literally anything else? Oh, I was
in
delirious.
dream of sorts, and I really wanted him to say it, so he said it. But it might not have happened, though, so
Right.
We'll see.
Denial. Yeah, but...
And, yes. Things developing, though, on the Toru side. Sakura, the vice president, is very much into him.
yeah.
The question is how
Is
much
he
is it
into her?
reciprocated?
And-
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Some good old-fashioned drama.
Indeed. And then, of course, in addition to the whole love confession thing with the sickness and all of that stuff, we got to see a bit more of Hori's relationship with her mom, and specifically how it's not doing great because of the times when she had to sort of deal with her mom
things.
needing to work when she really didn't want her to leave.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. All right, so we got ourselves some serious melodrama that was resolved quickly.
Yeah.
So, that all being said, it served its purpose in making them like, hey, cut the bullshit.
Right.
Let's get things simple. Hold hands. Talk about this.
Yep.
Declare like what we want from each other, and be comfortable with that. It's going to take the uncomfortable aspect of that being hurdled over first before you can do that. Okay, cool. But yeah, that kind of makes this episode a little bit of a nothing episode in that regard.
And that feels weird to say for this show because
it's so fast.
It's so fast. Like this show, if anything, could really use slowing down at points.
Yep,
but
especially in an episode like this.
But if it's going for the style of, hey, we're going to be really fast paced, then I mean, hey, at least own it, right? And that's what they've been doing up till now. But then here,
they spun on basically a small little circle for a little bit because we haven't really seen I would say the awkward and uncomfortable and flat out just kind of immature side of Hori
that much.
Really that much.
Yeah,
and
like there's little signs that we get here and there, but you know.
And there's definitely some cliche kind of textbook, I would say, rom-com melodrama that was set up because the instant I saw Sota see them there, I'm like, oh, he's gonna go and say that he saw his big brother with the girl, right? And that there was some obvious, romantic side of things that she was going to misunderstand.
Right.
He's going to completely ignore the fact that there was another guy there. Then from there,
to be fair, he was on the opposite side. So,
whatever.
Yeah.
Point being that then it's going to spiral out into more melodrama based on how she responds and reacts to it.
Yep.
Which he, of course, is going to misunderstand, given that this is coming after the love confession that she definitely heard, and he knows that she heard, which leads to then more chaos and stuff, which could be funny if it was given a little bit more padding and a little bit more fat in between the things there to flesh out certain things there. But it just paints Hori in a really immature light.
I do want to say, I like that Mia brought up the idea of, hey, that probably wasn't fair to say that and then immediately leave, given the fact that I knew that you were awake, right? Or I figured you were awake.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is a good thing to bring up, because with something like that, that's a bombshell to drop, right? And while, way to go, Miyamura, for having the courage to say that,
but also you could have had the courage to stay.
You could have had the courage to stay, or said it at a time when you didn't need to immediately leave. If he was like late for school or something like that.
We know kind of Miyamura's primary issue is that he does not fully communicate his own internal stuff.
Right.
He has trouble bridging that gap, and that's why he likes Hori. Is that it's much easier with her to do this kind of stuff.
Cool.
But because of the recent drama, the recent miscommunications, the confessions, things have gotten tenuous between them.
Yeah.
And I liked that then we had chaos brought in the form of Hori's mother and father having an awkward conversation, but also just the father coming in and having his own messy chaos situation brought in as well.
I feel like this episode was kind of a course study in, or a case study in, why tsunderes would not be likable in real life.
Exactly.
You know, because
absolutely.
You know, and thankfully she apologized for throwing the books at Mia. Good.
Yeah, that's the bare minimum.
But that's bare minimum.
That's bare minimum.
Like, because there's the books, which is the thing that she did when she was pissed off, but there were all kinds of other things that, you know, she was doing with the venting of frustration and not actually listening to the things that he was attempting to say.
Yeah, and then blaming him.
Yeah, assuming the worst and blaming him for the fact that she ended up, he ended up apologizing for how she felt, which can get into some dicey territory.
Yeah,
but
there's some interesting aspects about their relationship that remind me of, in a lot of ways, the fact that Miyamura is meant to have his problem not be internal but more environmental, with the way he fits in the world, rather than actually a character flaw, which thankfully he does have quite a few character flaws, and we've now seen them more and more.
Yeah.
But there's moments like this where he almost has like a far too non-confrontational kind of way of interacting with her.
And I would say that almost is his character flaw.
Well, I think that's more tied to that's umbrella tied to the other parts of it, is that he's not being fully honest when he says everything's fine, hey, it's okay, when the father was making him really uncomfortable and that he didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
And she kind of calls him out on that, of saying like, wait, are you sure? Mm-hmm. Like he says, sorry about Kyosuke being super annoying, and he's like, it's okay. And it's like, wait,
are you really
sure?
Yeah,
like he's always so selfish and pushy. Mm-hmm. Now, what I think is the aspect of this that he just kind of says on reflex is she's apologizing for someone else, and he's basically saying you don't need to apologize for what someone else did.
Sure.
Which would be a much more accurate form of what he felt at the time, which was, don't be bothered by it. I was bothered by it. But there's no.
But
need
I know
for
you have no control over that.
Yeah, you have no control over how he's going to act. That's okay. Mm-hmm. But he kind of conflates that all in a lot of ways, like this show does its pacing. It gets tightly fisted into this tiny little thing of, it's okay, which could mean the truth.
But there's a lot of ways to take that the wrong way. Now, granted, these two are both high schoolers. So it makes sense that there's going to be emotional immaturity and miscommunication and things like that. And because we're invested, that's why we care. And that's why it can be frustrating sometimes. But at the same time, the show does make sure that it doesn't, you know, it's the blessing and the curse of having the fast pacing, right? We have some of the parts that we really like sort of gone through really quickly, like their night walk, when they actually start to use words and speak to each other. Hori says a single sentence and then, okay, I'll leave you here, and it's like,
can we have like
maybe you need to talk about this a little more.
3 minutes.
Like,
dude, they held hands.
No, I know. Yeah.
Interlocked fingers.
No, right, but
that's like saying 25 words.
Except it's also not, because these are bakas, and if it's not written in contractual language, then, you know, they could theoretically get the wrong idea. But, you know,
hey, at a certain point, maybe they'll get so bad at communication that it just better not say anything.
It's like, okay, hand holding. Yes, okay. I know
he wants to have sex with me.
Oh my god. But yeah.
She's breathing really hard. She wants to have sex with me.
And chaos, I'm sure, will continue to ensue.
My god, I would love for that whole topic to get broached, or breached, or broached, whatever.
Yeah.
The phrase.
But I think both work. Yeah,
like,
I've heard it
would be
both
really
ways.
Awesome. Also, this episode wasn't really a nothing episode. What I was meaning more is just with the Hori and Mia kind of side of things. That stuff felt spinning in a circle. But they did focus in an interesting way with Sakura in that she had a moment where she blurted out something that was a bit hurtful and mean, and quickly realized her mistake and ran back to be like, I need to talk to you about this. And she thought, oh no, she's gone. Nope, just went to the bathroom. Let's have a little talk about that. And I loved the response from Remy in that she's like, hey, I don't see you being vulnerable that often. kind of in the way that she's talking about her feelings about a boy, you know. She's like, that's really cute when you do that. That
It's
was
like,
a nice little thing of where a small little phrase had so much extra stuff packed into it.
Yep, and
that was really nice.
I did love that. If anything, the fact that what we were introduced on was her having issues with Toru and being like, okay, what do I do? And then a conflict basically getting introduced as a result of that then gets resolved, but she's still back where she was originally.
I mean, the point is that until she does something, nothing's going to change.
And quite frankly, that's pretty realistic.
That's extremely realistic.
Especially given that she's one of the more soft-spoken characters.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's people. What is the phrase? People need proper encouragement. What is the thing? People
there are a few of us who are secure enough to be really in love without proper encouragement. Yeah, it's that Pride and Prejudice quote.
It's such a good quote. It's such a good line because it's true.
It really is.
It's true. The idea that both parties are some measure of responsible for the love connection to actually happen at all.
Right. Takes two to tango.
Not just at the, well, yeah, of course, but I'm talking about it in terms of that the being in love part, some people will see as primarily a thing that just happens to a person.
Oh, sure.
Or like some people have the belief that it's like more of a choice or something, or that it's something that it's like a chemical, you know, composition of fate and chaos, and there's no real like rhyme or reason to it. It just happens, you know. Yeah,
Mrs. Bennett would take issue with that comment.
All three of those things have flaws with the way that you can look at them, but I think the point is that there's an element of the Horimiya dynamic that is actually a good representation for the love connections that could be in the other characters.
Sure.
Because they both encourage each other at little moments in imperfect ways to kind of be like, hey, you know, like, I'd like it if you called me by my first name.
It's that...
Really?
But
Kinda, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But now you're blushing like that is making me all embarrassed about it and stuff. And, well... Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I wonder why.
Right. I wonder why. And is that something that, you know, you're okay with if it means us being in a relationship? Because you did say to your dad, yeah, we're in a relationship. What of it? You know?
Is that something then that you're embarrassed about?
Is that something that you would be willing to say directly to Mia? Without adding Baka in there. I love that when she said his first name, he's like, no, my name doesn't have a Baka in there. Like, give it to me straight. You know, it's
Come on, Tsundere.
Right, exactly.
Defy your stereotype.
Yep, I know you can do it. Just, you know, look me dead in the eye.
It's hard. I know it's hard.
Right.
If you need to like punch the wall, go ahead before you do it.
Right.
I can substitute your Baka.
But
do it while not looking at me, please.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I really love that this show does like very much conform to certain archetypes, especially with regards to the main cast, but the ways in which they respond to things at times, of course, feels incredibly mature. Like,
yes,
it's just a really refreshing story in that regard, which with regard to high schoolers.
And to bounce off of that, a lot of the things that we've been saying about, like, you know, ways that this episode felt melodramatic, you know, or things like that, are kind of spinning around on a topic and not making as much progress. That is something that I would not be really bothered by nearly as much if it wasn't something where this show had been showing the contrary happening pretty consistently.
The extreme fast pace with regards to how well they progress through their relationship in a mature way.
Right.
So it feels contradictory to their characters thus far.
It felt kind of jarring.
To take like 3 or 4 steps back all of a sudden and be like, well, I get it.
Right, because emotions are especially high right now.
Yeah, but the reason why the drama came about was all kinds of contrived. Like,
right. Like God. it was a joke how contrived it was. Of she twisted her ankle, and when he went to catch her, he twisted his ankle too. So I was helping both of them, or she was leaning on me because she didn't want to lean on him because, you know,
Mia's
ankle.
Strong. We've said that
That's
thing
true.
That he could keep both of them on his shoulders and be no problem with it.
I mean, 3-legged races are a thing, but
What? No.
No,
He
no.
walks normally.
No,
They're
no.
the ones that walk.
No, I know, but if you're supporting two people and the two people have different paces and
No, they have to conform exactly to your pace. It's easy. I have done this.
with one person on
With
each
one
side.
person on each side, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because I'm not the only person holding them. It works the same way either way, but I had one person on the left side, and then the person on the right side, I was doing solo. So it's 4 people.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
The person in the middle was the heaviest, so we were both helping there. But then this person, and I just 1, 2, 1, 2, 1,
Okay,
2.
gotcha.
It was easy. Like if anything, the part was someone was like, "Oh, I have to stop," and they'd be like, "Oh," and everyone just
Sure.
stop.
Yep.
And then they'd be like, "Oh," and they're like, "Okay, keep going." And then it only lasted for like a minute.
Gotcha.
So that's all its own thing.
Yeah.
But
And
Sota, you little chaotic little shit, that was hilarious.
And he has no idea, and that was something that I really appreciated.
Yeah.
If it had been like, oh, by the way, he was,
good.
offering the information. No, it's just
don't backpedal on Sota being a little kid.
Exactly.
Just for the sake of her finding out. No,
Right.
make the characters have to have their awkward little moments, by the lockers, so that they can then realize I was kind of an idiot. Oh, I was kind of an idiot.
And the one thing I will just sort of hold to, and I know this is totally splitting hairs or whatever, but no. The dad being like that is not justified because he's,
Right.
or his dad. It's just explained.
It explains.
Right? Because
that could be
there's
a word choice, a translation choice.
Right, it could totally be a
but
translation
either way,
thing. But and again, they're high schoolers and stuff, so they might not necessarily think about this kind of distinction. But there's a very important distinction between understanding someone's dysfunctionality and saying that dysfunctionality is not actually dysfunctional. So yeah.
Yeah, where was the it's like so selfish and pushy. And he's like, ha ha ha, somehow him being a hori kind of justifies his behavior.
Right.
Which
it's cool
I
seeing
totally
him
get
have that moment of understanding,
Yeah, I totally get what he would, kind of have that moment of understanding with regards to the fact that, okay, I see now where Hori kind of gets that kind of side of herself from.
And he is a bit biased towards Hori, so there's that too.
Exactly.
But yeah.
And that's kind of one of the other things is when you've ever been in a dating setup with someone who's more aggressive in general.
Yeah.
One of like my favorite like personal things about it is that there's this like, this understanding of like, hey, look at my little asshole go. Like, look at them get all worked up and like all just
look
bugged.
at you go.
Yeah. And then they turn back to you and they pout and stuff like that, and you just know that they have no power over you to basically like,
well,
and it specifically pisses them off even more, and you're like,
sure.
oh, look at you, you're so cute, and they're just like, baka, basically
shut
the
up.
equivalent. Yeah,
I'm
shut
dangerous.
Up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and if anything, that's the one thing that I would look for Mia to grow in is that I feel like there might be points where he can't necessarily remain resolute in his own like energy.
He's too sensitive,
in the dynamic with Hori.
To Hori, yeah. It's an issue that is not entirely his, but it's still an issue.
And it's not necessarily a huge issue right now, but I could definitely see it becoming more of an issue, especially as they get more comfortable with each other and things like that.
And they don't necessarily acknowledge each other's differences because they're just having so much fun in the relationship in general. But this is all things that you learn over the course of time anyway in any relationship. And the fact that we're in our 20s and I'm 30 and stuff, so it's,
And the fact that this show is making us have these kinds of questions and discussions and things like that goes to show that it's a great show.
Yes, because this story is basically promising that these two will have a long-term relationship, which most anime romantic comedy don't even get past kiss and fall in love.
Like kiss, fall in love.
Yes,
Now,
exactly.
theoretically, while this might not necessarily count because it was sort of a coerced confession statement, if that statement is to be believed, they are now officially dating, kind of, but that has been brought up,
especially when it comes to Toru. From Toru's perspective, it is now official. That phone call being something that we didn't hear.
I love how that was handled.
Was a
Less
fun
is
way
more.
to basically say, well, I should say there. I feel like it's an example of the show's pacing, actually, in that it didn't need to be that way. But what I really liked about it is kind of what you were, I think, hinting at, is that him having the... Oh. Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. You can feel his energy going down.
Even though we don't hear a single word from Mia.
Yeah.
We don't even know technically that it's Mia that he's talking to. It's assumed as such. Right. It's like, oh yeah, totally. You know, like why else would we be seeing this conversation, right?
Right. Yeah.
But and then we just see the emotional response from Toru, and I love that.
And then they just nope. Damn it, you know, it's just like, oh man, I
feel for him.
I love Toru. I love Toru so much. I feel like he might be my favorite character. I'm not sure because Hori just dropped a lot in my book.
Yeah, like
and Mia I love, and yet the thing about Mia is that he's tied to Hori, so
right. Yeah,
it all becomes a mess.
His responses to Hori in this episode did give him a bit of damage, but hopefully, I'm sure Hori will recover just fine. But,
it'll be fine. But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below. For our Patreon, you can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yes, if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.